belonging to a place that you want to belong to, for instance. Symbol of your pride, symbol of sanitation, uh, something which can take you far off in eradicating poverty. So it is not only a matter of brick and mortar that you look at a house from, but it is more than that. And I think, imagine, and Jonathan said it very, very correctly, how many of us have really imagined a life out of a house? We must have lived in good house, bad house, poor house, but we all have been very, very privileged to have had a house to hide our head in. And I think wherever we are today, we are there because of the house that was given to us by someone. Maybe by your forefathers, or parents, somebody who donated some money to provide a house to us. So I think the whole idea and identity of housing is very complex and very difficult to be talked about. We can only feel it, we can only experience it. And when somebody comes and helps us out in that, we are indebted to that person for the rest of our lives. So I think in that context, I would like to really applaud, praise, and congratulate Habitat for Humanity for doing a great job. I will not really be taking enough time, but I would only very quickly like to talk to about what could be the critical success factors for accelerated implementation. Because that is something which is very fundamental, very foundational, and unless that happens, you can't really reach anywhere. You may have money, you may have idea, you may have some good heart, good mind, but I think unless you figure out those critical factors, you may not really be able to do anything. If you really look at India in particular, you have one for towards poor, which is expected about 1.2 billion. If you really imagine how many children will at the age of 5 die in India due to malnutrition, that's a staggering about 1 million. And if you really were to imagine how many women or our mothers and sisters die every year due to lack of health services, and at the time of birth, that's no less than 44,000. It is just the number, but that will give you the scale and complexity of the problem. And these problems and complexities are in some way connected or integrated or part of led to place which you can call as center. And one of our very dear colleagues was talking about once we have the house, most of the things become easier, if not easier. So I think housing is very critical, very complex, and we need to really think it not from the heart, but also from the mind, because it means reasoning. In order for you and for me to be able to put our thoughts and ideas together, to be able to do some good work somewhere. In our community, in our city, in our town, governments, I can tell you. And Jonathan and I like to really say it in front of everybody. Governments everywhere, be it in India, be it in the US, be it in the Philippines, anywhere, they're all broke. They don't really have any money, and that is why several of these governments are withdrawing from the welfare activities. But I think that is a little sense of desperation for me, because if that happens, then the world is going to be a worse place to live by the poor people. Now let me give you another statistics very quickly. How many people you think exist in India who have hardly any access to food? And that is something that is being talked about by some of the UN agencies, including the UNICEF. But then there are other UN institutions like World Food Program and the Global Compact, where we are trying to see to it as to how to really bring the second sector on excellence around nutrition one level to zero. And I'm saying it Very soon you will see that center being set up. In India, cabinet note is ready, and we are moving in that particular direction. Now, having said that very quickly, what do we really need in order for these 17 core goals to get executed? I'm not really going to talk about any one of those goals because our colleagues have talked about those goals very, very well and very, very recently. There are three things which are needed, and these are needed by us in India, and these are needed by anybody in India. So the first thing that we need is the need for a decentralized approach to manage the scale. If your scale is not high, if your numbers are not big, you'll never ever be able to reach out to a very large number of people. So I think the first thing which is very, very important is the need for a decentralized approach to manage scale. And let me tell it without uh, any hiding of any fact. But why did MDG goals, which were enfolded with 18 indicators, did not really succeed well enough on the ground was because everything was being done by somebody at the top. So the central government was doing everything and there was no role for the states. There was no role for the provinces. And this is where those goals are set to fail miserably. Second thing very quickly which is needed is the framework for monitoring and evaluation. You might be achieving great things in life and building houses and putting money, volunteering and everything. But if you don't really have a framework to monitor and evaluate those successes, the hope would be that you will not really be able to do much on the ground. But then there's no learning if you're not really monitoring and evaluating what you have been doing. And I would like to go very quickly to 12th five-year plan, where we had some 25 indicators. And at the end of the 12th five-year plan, we had no data available to be able to learn and then see to it as to how we really manage large-scale change in the ground. And the final one, which everybody said, was access to resources. Do you know how much of money will be needed in India every year to end poverty? It's $74 billion. Do you know in the next 5 years how much money is needed by us in India to set up the right infrastructure? It is roughly about $476 billion. And most of that, which means about 70% of that, is going to be needed on road, power, infrastructure, and rest of it. So what I'm trying to say is that housing is very good. We need to do that. We need to open our heart. We need to approach private sector, talk about the public good. But I think those three factors would be very, very critical in case we were to achieve large scale, impact, bring more people to get impacted in a positive way. And these are three. Just to repeat, need for a decentralized approach to manage scale, framework for monitoring and evaluation, and finally, access to resources, which governments unfortunately do not have, and governments at the state level have even less compared to what central governments have. And therefore, we need to find partners who have resources, who have the skill sets, who have open mind, and are willing to come forward and extend the support and help. I think the only way to achieve wholesome, sustaining development would be giving access to people to housing and ensuring that how can housing become a source of economic activity, because ultimately we need to put more disposable income in the hands of people.